Morning, y'all. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, hey, hey.
Good morning and welcome to New Thought, Northern Colorado Center for Spiritual Living. That was Jimmy Eads. Thank you, Jimmy. We are love. We are one big family. So we gather together from the comfort of our homes to express love, to practice radical acceptance and inclusion, and to connect with one another and with spirit. We are a powerful spiritual community, lovingly committed to a world of acceptance, compassion, peace, and joy. Now, if you want to just center yourself as we have an opening prayer, and if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes as we go within to take this moment to let go of the past and to let the future just float away, to take this moment right here and right now to remember that we are one with one another, that we are one with spirit. We are one with that creative force alive in everyone and everything. It could be chaotic and crazy and beautiful when you stare into a campfire, when you listen to the wind. And that creative force can be as precise as mathematics in the construction of a snowflake, in the patterning in plants, in the geometric sequence in a sea snail shell. And all of that creative force is alive in each of us. We are deeply connected to spirit, to the divine, to that creative force. And I give such thanks for all of the creativity alive in this moment, all of that creativity that is part of this moment in the talk and in the music, and in all of the people, the ministers, the practitioners, our tech people who make things happen and are creative in making things happen. And of course, as always, I am so thankful for you who are joining together at this moment to remember that connection with one another. You are the most important part of this service. We are one. We are one big family. And knowing that all things are right and as they are meant to be, I release this prayer and say, and so it is.
All right, you guys, the featured song today is called Mama Werewolf. It's by Brandy Carlisle. Your mama's a werewolf with long, sharp teeth. I'm up all night when the world should sleep. I curse the darkness when it's killing time. I got a river of fear running through my mind. When the moon shines through those parting clouds, I hear the cold and I howl out loud. I stalk the streets where the shadows lie, and I pray to God that that sun will rise. But that sun don't always rise. If my good intentions go running wild, if I cause you pain, my own sweet child, won't you promise me you'll be the one? My silver bullet in the gun. When I wake and I'm reborn, my body aches and my soul is torn. I search the void for any clue, and I feel ashamed for what I put you through. This curse a gift from my father's kin. They fought the beast I feel within, and we don't talk about it, but we don't call its name. We just carry on, hoping it'll change. But we know it'll never change. If my good intentions go running wild, if I cause you pain, my own sweet child, won't you promise me you'll be the one? My silver bullet in the gun. Would you strike me down right where I stand? Would you change me back, make me kind again? Won't you promise me you'll be the one? My silver bullet in the gun. If my good intentions go running wild, if I cause you pain, my own sweet child, won't you promise me you'll be the one? My silver bullet in the gun. Would you strike me down right where I stand? Would you change me back, make me kind again? Won't you promise me you'll be the one? My silver bullet in the gun.
Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful song, Jimmy. I've never heard that song before. Thank you so much. So good to be with you this beautiful Sunday morning. And boy, we're talking about anger today. But before we get to that lovely topic, let's harmonize our hearts and minds by taking some deep breaths. And let's say together, care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. Care, appreciation, gratitude, compassion. So yeah, like I said, our topic is about anger. It's the specific title of it, if you're following the journal, is Looking at Anger in the Eye. Truth be told, I've never been someone who's been able to look at anger in the eye, because anger has been an emotion that I have been, let's just say, afraid of for most of my life. I had convinced myself as a spiritual person, and particularly as a minister, that the quicker I moved to forgiveness, the quicker I moved to experiencing peace, the better I would be. But we all know that spiritual bypassing isn't the best approach. And when we resist something, it continues to show itself, doesn't it? Again and again. Anger has been that for me, showing up in relationships, both personally and professionally, mirroring back to me the unresolved anger that was buried within me. And apparently the universe wanted to make sure that I had plenty of material for my talk today, because last week I attended a retreat, a women's retreat in Virginia, with a spiritual teacher that I've been working with. And of course, guess what came up? Anger. At one point during the retreat, I was paired up with another participant to work on an exercise intended to uncover hidden beliefs and emotions. And I was having a hard time uncovering beliefs and emotions because I was feeling pretty peaceful, pretty centered and grounded in that moment. The teacher came over to us and I told her that I was having a hard time pulling up any hidden beliefs or emotions. And she said to me, I'm sensing that there's some anger there that hasn't been dealt with. I was a little taken aback by her comment because I was feeling so peaceful. But she did a process with me right then and there that pulled out the anger that I had shoved down. And as she worked with me, I could feel not just the fear, but the terror the terror inside of me as I felt into the anger that I had been holding on to for so long. It was terrifying to actually feel it and to let it come out. I grew up with a lot of anger around me, both witnessing it in others and it being directed at me. And as a sensitive child, it really had an impact on me. So I labeled it as bad, and I protected myself by withdrawing and retreating whenever anger was present. And that pattern continued into my adulthood. As I moved along my spiritual path, I received the message, and I suspect many of us have, that I should be peaceful, that I should be loving and compassionate and happy, and that I should choose peace over anger and love over hate. But because of this, I used spirituality to bypass the anger that I didn't want to face or deal with. What I've learned is that we aren't more evolved because we don't express anger or experience anger. It's actually spiritually immature to think that we should never feel it or express it and only remain in peace and joy in our lives. Gandhi's grandson, Arun, in his book, The Gift of Anger, shares that he had a lot of rage as a child. He tells a story that after he almost got himself into a fight, he ran to his grandfather and cried, "I'm angry all the time, grandfather. I don't know what to do." And Gandhi patted him on the back and said, "I'm glad to see you can be moved to anger. Anger is good. I get angry all the time." Arun responded, "But I've never seen you get angry because I've learned to use my anger for good," Gandhi explained. Anger to people is like gas to the automobile. It fuels you to move forward and to get to a better place. Without it, we would not be motivated to rise to a challenge. It's an energy that compels us to define what is just and unjust. Many social movements have stemmed from anger. Anger clarifies for us what change needs to happen. It's the fire within us that makes change happen in our lives and in the world. It's a good thing, something to embrace and to actually be grateful for. As I prepared for my talk, in my research, I discovered that there are various types of anger, but the two that I want to talk about, one is righteous anger and the other is anxious anger. Righteous anger shows up when there is an injustice that has taken place. This type of anger is calm and it is clear. It tells us the kind of world we want to live in and won't tolerate anything it sees as ethically wrong. Anxious anger is the type of anger that shows up in intimate relationships. It's anxious because it contains some fear and hurt and is impatient for action. It tells us who we are, what we need, and what our boundaries are. When a boundary has been crossed or a need hasn't been met, anxious anger shows itself. So whatever type of anger shows up in our life, like everything that shows up, it has a message for us. Looking at it in the eye means to notice it, sit with it, and ask the question, anger, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to know? If we are willing to sit with anger, it will show us what is underneath it. What boundaries have been crossed, what pain is there below the surface. Anger is a secondary emotion, which means there is always something deeper that is trying to show us something. If we can become aware of this, then we don't have to be so afraid of it or so judgmental of it. Sometimes we hold onto anger so tightly, righteously, and we may or may not choose to express it at someone or the people we're mad at, but we hold it, thinking on some level that this person doesn't deserve our forgiveness or our compassion. We feel justified in holding on to it so tightly. Let's try something together. Everyone, clench your fists as tightly as you can. Scrunch up your face as you do it. And now, release your hands slowly. And now again, clench your fists. And now let go. You can feel the difference in the energy. Yeah. You know, our anger doesn't have to be wound so tightly within us like clenched fists. But how often do we hold our anger in this way? How many of us are holding anger in this way about something that happened in our life? When we do this, our whole body constricts and our heart creates a wall around it. Mark Nepo said, as long as we clutch to one thing, be it a stone or a weapon, our hands cannot open or reach for anything else. It's unavoidably true. Hands must be emptied before they can be filled anew. It is the same with our hearts, he says. So look within yourself right now and see if you are holding any anger towards someone or something, or perhaps even directing it at yourself. Notice it without judgment. If you notice that anger is there, ask the question, anger, what do you want me to know? Notice what is underneath the anger. Feel into that. What is the pain underneath it? Notice it with love and with compassion, and listen to what your anger wants to tell you. Keep asking the question until it's revealed. I asked myself the same question last week at the retreat, after I was encouraged by the teacher to develop a relationship with my anger. What a concept, something I honestly hadn't really thought about before. And so I sat with my anger and I asked the question, anger, what do you need me to know? And what I heard was this: you resist because you think it's bad, that you will be judged, that you won't be considered spiritual or worthy of being loved. Stand in your power and express it from a loving place. So when we are standing in our power and expressing it with love, we are saying, this is my boundary. This is what I need. I love what Prentice Hemphill said about boundaries. Boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. So what I've learned from anger is that expressing it is actually a very loving thing we do for ourselves when it's done in a conscious way. And it can be expressed in a kind and loving way. When we react in an unconscious way and we blast someone, we leave behind a path of death and destruction. We may feel justified in what we've done, but this kind of energy is extremely damaging, both to the other person as well as to ourselves, because what we give out, we receive in return. Expressing anger from a more conscious place takes practice. It takes awareness and a willingness to move into the stillness and listen to what it wants to tell us before we respond and just take action just from a place of reaction. Very different response, very different energy. So this is what it means to work with anger spiritually. Anger is not an action, it's an emotion. It can fuel the action we take. And if we don't slow down and move into the stillness, we will react oftentimes in a hurtful way. Anger comes to the surface quickly, And we react automatically, moving into the energy of blame. But if we can slow down, take a moment to connect with the anger, giving it a chance to speak to us, we can uncover the boundary that has been crossed or the need that hasn't been met, and then communicate from that place. Psychotherapist Robert Masters says many spiritual traditions insist that we transform our anger into compassion, implying that anger is not a spiritual emotion. Anger can actually be an expression of compassion, a willingness to uphold boundaries that are sacred or stand up for someone who is being oppressed. Compassion and anger can absolutely coexist. He talks about how spirituality is about honoring all of our emotions, not rejecting them or eradicating them, but instead listening to them to find out what they want to tell us, especially those that are uncomfortable for us. That's doing our spiritual work. That's the practice. This is how we work with both our spiritual nature and our humanness. As humans, we will experience anger. We cannot avoid that. But how we work with it is always our choice. Anger is a spiritual emotion, as much as any emotion is. It's spiritual because it shows us what needs to be looked at more closely. Anger is the doorway inviting us to step through and to go deeper. Our spiritual path is always inviting us, isn't it? Always inviting us to go deeper, to bring us closer to ourselves. That's what the spiritual path is all about. Last Saturday, there were 2 racially motivated shootings that took place. One in Orange County, California, and one in Buffalo, New York. Unfortunately, we can't stop the hate that exists in the world, and it is heartbreaking. But we can look at these events and use them as opportunities to examine the anger that is coming up for each of us and what is underneath that, as well as the pain that is buried beneath the anger of the perpetrators. Whether our anger is directed at someone in particular or an event in the world, all of it is showing itself to us so that we can examine what is coming up for us. We may not know exactly what is coming up for another person, but if we are willing to pause for a moment and reflect, we can trust and know that there is something deeper going on. And this allows us to have more compassion for others. And as we do that for others, we also do that for ourselves. And then we can know from that place what action we need to take. We can go within first and then take action from a heart-centered place. Ram Dass said, "Have you ever noticed how many angry people there are at peace rallies? Social action arouses righteousness. Righteousness ultimately starves your heart. If you want to be free more than you want to be right, you let go of righteousness. For social action to be done with love, the spiritual work comes first. If you oppose something or someone in anger, all you proliferate in the world is more anger." So the more we are willing to cultivate a relationship with anger, the less we will fear it or judge it when it arises. People who exhibit angry outbursts directed at someone or directed at a population of people are carrying around with them wounds that likely have never been looked at, addressed, or healed. They are suffering. And the only reason we can recognize their suffering is because we too have also experienced suffering in our life. If we can look at anger in the eye, and have the willingness to uncover what is underneath it, we can create a whole new relationship with it. As we do this, we are choosing to honor it and to embrace it. It's then when it becomes a gift in our life as opposed to something we bypass or run from. At the retreat I attended, my teacher suggested that I create an altar to my anger as a way to continue my healing and to continue developing a relationship with it. I created it in my living room. And as I sit in front of it, I use certain clearing phrases that I was taught, as well as I say to myself, I am developing a healthy relationship with anger. Doing this helps me to honor it instead of judging it or pushing it away. I'm looking at it in the eye and I'm saying, I see you. Thank you for being here. And as a result of doing this, the terror that I once experienced only a week ago has totally dissipated. Our emotions are only scary because we haven't developed a relationship with them. It's like meeting someone for the first time. It's a little awkward, but that relationship can be nurtured over time. We always have a choice in how we approach the experience in our lives that stir anger up within us. Most of us can move from anger to peace pretty quickly because of our spiritual training. But our spiritual training has given us the false impression that we should walk through the world with peace and joy all of the time. I think if we can have moments of peace and joy, and maybe an hour or two a day, we're doing pretty good. But I believe we came here to do deep work. And that means that it isn't always going to be pretty or feel so great. But the good news is that we have tools. And we also have the awareness that tells us, anger is here. Or whatever other emotion is here. As I said earlier in the month, these emotions are our messengers. And so we slow down and we drop into the stillness, even if it's uncomfortable, feeling into what is underneath, courageously stepping through the doorway so that true healing and transformation can happen. Being spiritual beings, having a human experience, means that we are given opportunities every day as human beings to do our spiritual work. It's why we came here as souls, and the divine is right there with us through it all. And because we are all part of one human family, we also get the opportunity to practice compassion and love. Compassion toward ourselves when those times when we are unable to let go of our anger, and compassion toward others who hang onto their anger so tightly that they end up causing harm to others. Rumi said, bring anger and pride under your feet, turn them into a ladder and climb higher. We trust that anger, like any emotion, is showing up along our path to support us with our evolution. And so we say thank you. Anger is a necessary part of our journey to love. So let's be gentle with ourselves, give thanks to the anger that has shown itself to you in your life. Give thanks for the anger that will continue to show itself to you in the coming week and in the weeks and the months and the years ahead. Look it in the eye and be willing to develop a relationship with it and thank it for what it has come here to show you. Let's pray. And so we begin with gratitude for this moment, for being reminded that we can develop a relationship with anger, that we can invite it in and dialogue with it and ask it what it is here to show us in our life. That as we do this, as we have the courage to dive in deeper to our emotions, that we continue to expand and open ourselves even more. As we are willing to look anger in the eye, as we are willing to sit with it, as we are willing to be still with it, we are able to transform it within us. We are able to move through the world in a different way. We are able to respond to people in a different way. If anger is directed at us, we are able to shift it. And so I am knowing that our life is so blessed by this knowing. I'm knowing that our lives are transformed and healed by this knowing. That as we walk through this coming week and the weeks and the months and the years ahead, that when we are faced with anger, that we are able to see it differently and experience it differently. That we are able to give thanks for it as it reminds us what our boundaries are, as it reminds us what our needs are. And we're able to express that with love. That we can say, I love you and I am angry. That both can coexist. And so we take a deep breath and we let go and we allow and we trust. We trust the divine essence of God that is always there with us, guiding us, supporting us, lifting us up, showing us exactly what we need, showing us exactly where we need to open our eyes, showing us those parts within ourselves that need a little more attention, a little more love. And so with that, I let this go. I let it go and I release it. And I trust. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Thanks, Jimmy. We are supported by your partnership, and we're so grateful for your partnership and all that you give to our beloved community. There are a number of ways that you can give, and you'll see those flashing across your screen there. You can visit our website at newthoughtnoco.org. You can text your tithe, and that number is 970-614-4226, or you can mail your gift if you prefer that option. And our address will be in the chat. There it is. All right. Thank you, everyone. So let's place our gift on our heart and let's say our offering affirmation together. Spirit's abundance flows through me. joyfully I share my good. So it is.
So know this for yourself, and know this for all the people that need help expressing their anger in a constructive way. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. So this Sunday is our last live streaming in the morning. We will be live streaming our 5 o'clock service. And of course, if you'd like to join us in person, you can check the website for directions and how to get to us so that we can all be together at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoons.
Thanks, Amber. So that will start June 5th. Next Sunday, we're going to be doing a different service, a kirtan service. And if you've never participated in kirtan, it is such a treat. You are going to be chanting Sanskrit chants, and we'll have the words. We're going to live stream this. So if you're not local and can't join us in person, it will be live streamed. So this will be next Sunday from 5 to 6:30. And I'm going to put that information in the chat there so you have it. And kirtan chanting is a way of connecting with our inner selves, very different from our typical Sunday service. But as you chant these words, they have a certain vibration, and there is a resonance within us, a deep resonance. Even if we don't understand the words, the chants open our heart in such an extraordinary way. So I encourage you to come and check it out. Check it out on live stream. It'll be live streamed to YouTube and Facebook. So join us for that. Thank you all for being here. Know that you are loved, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks, everyone.
Spirit, know my name, call me home, and light these darkened days. Oh Spirit, show your truth.